which contains graphic and gratuitous scenes which should not be available in anybody's home.
He was genuinely of the view that unless you banned these things, then society would actually collapse. It was that apocalyptic.
What's up, Vault Dwellers? So you asked for more, and I hope your stomach is as strong as your curiosity, because we're back with another reel of banned, burned, and bootlegged B-movie lunacy. This is 13 more nasty B-movies. You know, part 2. It's a fresh lineup of exploitation mayhem that horrified censors, baffled audiences, and earned a permanent home in the morally questionable side of cinema history. Some were prosecuted under obscenity laws, others just scared the bejesus out of small-town police chiefs. Either way, they're all worth rewinding. And yes, the Nastiometer is back to rate just how forbidden each flick truly was. Alright, let's dive back into the swamp of censorship and schlock. This movie is also known as Alien Contamination. This Italian sci-fi shocker opens kind of like a Ridley Scott in a tomato cannery got into a head-on collision. This is about a derelict cargo ship that drifts into New York Harbor carrying crates full of mysterious green eggs, which are biological weapons that explode with stomach-bursting force when exposed to heat. If you've ever wanted to see an alien invasion movie where the main weapon is a warehouse full of toxic Easter eggs, this is your moment. Luigi Cozzi was heavily inspired by aliens, but he couldn't afford a xenomorph, so he gave us this bio-slime, messy splatter and Cold War espionage movie. There's a bizarre subplot about a Martian cyclops and a government conspiracy, but let's be honest. People remember this movie for the gooey, slow-motion chest explosions and the synth-heavy score by Goblin. This was originally banned in the UK and placed on the DPP list. Contamination was seen as a derivative and just needlessly violent. But its charm, it lies in its earnest excess and strange blend of genres, because it's part horror, part spy thriller, and part spaghetti space opera. Years later, fans would rediscover it as a so-bad-it's-good gem, and today, it enjoys a cult following that appreciates just how gloriously unhinged it is.
What's she doing? She's got no business up there. Can't go get her.
This one was originally titled Communion, and this 1976 thriller blends slasher structure with Catholic horror and some psychological dread on the side. This was set in a working-class New Jersey neighborhood. The film centers around the brutal murder of a young girl during her first communion, and suspicion falls on her strange older sister, Alice, who's played with a chilling ambiguity by Paula E. Shepherd, who wears this translucent mask and a yellow raincoat. You know, kind of like Paddington Bear, who wandered into a Dario Argento film. The horror here is less about the gore and more about the tone. It's oppressive religious imagery, dysfunctional families, and a sense of urban decay that feels like it was shot through a haze of incense and dread. The director creates a creeping atmosphere filled with voyeuristic camera work, some whispering neighbors, and just the constant threat of judgment, you know, divine or otherwise. Though this film wasn't officially banned, it did land on Section 3 list and was liable for seizure and confiscation under their less obscene charges. So tapes could be seized under Section 3 and destroyed after distribution if the merchants forfeited them. But the film, it was pretty controversial upon release, especially for its violent acts involving children and religious settings. Brooke Shields appears briefly as the ill-fated younger sister, and her death set the tone for a movie that gleefully disregarded taboos. Over time, the film gained cult status, influencing later psychological slashers and earning praise for its proto-giallo style subversive themes.
Who is that? When's he coming back?
That's my son, Val. He'd have shown you if he was here. He ain't never coming back. He's passed on to a place where you'll never go. Amen.
Well, he's a lucky one then, ain't he?
Few films have tested the limits of cinematic taste quite like Fight for Your Life. This was released in 1977, and it follows a trio of escaped convicts led by a sociopathic racist played by William Sanderson, who take a black family hostage in their own home. What follows is just a relentless barrage of racial slurs, humiliation, and abuse that's just so vile, it earned the film an enduring spot on the UK's video nasty list under their Section 1. But here's where it flips the script. The second half is a slow burn revenge tale that turns the brutality back upon the attackers. Unlike many exploitation flicks of the era, Fight for Your Life isn't content with just shock value. It practically dares the audience to reckon with its own discomfort. The film's raw, unpolished aesthetic only adds to its grime-soaked realism. It's grindhouse through and through, but with a dose of social rage that makes it just unforgettable. Despite being banned or heavily censored in the UK, Australia, and several other countries, it developed a cult following in underground cinema circles. Some praise it for flipping the power dynamic, while others condemn it for reveling in cruelty. Either way, it's impossible to ignore.
Wow. Look who's here. Come on in. Harry, it's our man from the window. Harry, you remember our man in the window?
My, yes. I'm Harry Silver, and this...
Some films ooze grime from like every frame. The Headless Eyes, it's one of those. Released in 1971, this oddball slice of sleazy horror follows Arthur Malcolm. He's a struggling artist who loses an eye during a botched robbery and then promptly descends into madness. He begins murdering women and harvesting their eyes for use in his grotesque sculptures. So think Peeping Tom meets Maniac, but with a Super 8 film camera and about half the budget. This was shot on a shoestring in New York City during its trash-strewn early 70s heyday. The film captures the urban decay and psychological isolation of the time. Kent Bateman, yeah, that's Jason Bateman's dad. He directs with a grindhouse sensibility, leaning heavily into surreal dream sequences and uncomfortable close-ups. It's not particularly gory by today's standards, but the tone is so unrelenting, grimy, and deranged that it got sidelined by distributors and dismissed by critics. You know, while it wasn't formally banned, the BBFC refused to classify it for just decades. It lived on in bootleg circles as a forbidden oddity. Its tagline, "He gave his eye for art," I think it says it all. A cult curio for those who love their horror unpolished, unsettling, and just smeared in VHS tracking fuzz.
Not only do we need a car, but we also need dough.
Then we disappear.
Right. What about documents? That part isn't any problem. All it takes is money. Only first we got a certain rat to take care of.
Mad Dog Killer, it's a grimy, mean-spirited entry into the Italian poliziesque genre. I don't know if I said that right. It doesn't waste a moment pretending to be anything but just pure sleaze. Helmut Berger stars as Nanni Vitali, a psychotic convict who escapes from prison and embarks on a rape and murder-filled revenge spree against those who put him behind bars. Unlike typical crime thrillers that at least pay lip service to morality, this one revels in its protagonist's nihilism. Berger delivers a performance just so icy and unhinged, it's going to make you want to check your locks twice. I mean, this character is kind of like part Charles Bronson, part Manson family dropout, and just smiling as he commits horrific acts, often with minimal music cues and stylized flourishes. It's filmed with a documentary-style grit, turning every violent act into something just sickeningly real. Unsurprisingly, the BBFC didn't want this anywhere near British shelves. It was never officially passed during the video nasty era, and it became infamous through bootlegs and under-the-counter VHS trades. Even among Italian crime films, known for their excess, Mad Dog Killer stood out as especially depraved. Modern critics have tried to reassess it as a reflection on societal collapse and moral rot. Let's be real, it's still a rough sit. A relentless film about a man with just no brakes and a world offering zero resistance. This is one of the more polished films on this list. Happy Birthday to Me came out at the height of the slasher boom, but it brought a level of psychological complexity and just sheer WTF plot twists that set it apart. Melissa Sue Anderson, fresh off Little House on the Prairie, stars as Virginia, a prep school student whose friends are being picked off one by one in increasingly creative ways. We've got shish kebab skewers, barbell crushings, and a scarf strangulation that are all on the menu. Director J. Lee Thompson, who was best known for Cape Fear, delivers slick direction and a stylish visual flair, while the screenplay leans into mystery and unreliable narration. The result is a hybrid of giallo-style, whodunit, and American slasher excess. Despite its relatively modest gore, the film's macabre tone and bizarre third-act twist earned it some notoriety. It wasn't officially banned, but its marketing campaign, complete with blood-splattered birthday cake and shocked gasps from censors, pushed it into video nasty territory by association. Though overshadowed by bigger franchises, it has since been embraced by horror fans for its moody aesthetic, killer kills, and the unforgettable ending that practically demands a rewatch. It's a birthday party that you don't walk away from. This movie's got a title that overpromises and a plot that barely delivers, but somehow Frozen Scream remains one of the most bewildering entries on the DPP's banned list. This was shot back in 1975, but it wasn't widely released until the 1980s. This ultra-low budget brain freeze attempt to blend mad science, immortality, and cult-like conspiracy into a zombie flick, it manages to make it all feel like a weird dream captured on moldy VHS. The story involves a group of scientists developing a serum that keeps people alive after death. The catch? It turns them into mindless, shuffling automatons who look like the cast of the Mod Squad, who fell into a deep freezer. There's whispered narration for some reason, heavy breathing, which is totally unexplained, and editing that feels like someone threw a bunch of scenes into a blender and hit puree. The film wound up on UK's video nasty list largely due to its disturbing tone rather than the graphic violence. It's really not especially gory, but it is creepy, disjointed, and creates a persistent sense of unease. Just imagine trying to watch a soap opera, but the broadcast just keeps cutting to static, and some undead eyes staring back at you. Critics, they hated it. Fans, some consider it a psychotronic classic. Either way, it's the kind of film you watch once and then question whether it really even happened.
Is that you? Where are you? Gary?
All right, so take your average mummy movie, inject it with Italian zombie logic, and then shoot the whole thing in Egypt, and you've got Dawn of the Mummy. This was released in 1981, and this international co-production blends ancient curses, some walking corpses, and 1980s fashion photography into a cinematic fever dream. The plot centers on a group of models who, unknowingly, stage a photo shoot in a cursed tomb. Kind of a bad move. The tomb's guardian is reanimated by supernatural forces, along with a posse of rotting, fast-moving mummies. Yeah, it's got fast-moving mummies who proceed to devour just anyone in sight. Unlike traditional mummy flicks that lean on suspense, this one goes like full gore in the final act, with intestines flying and limbs ripped off like it's a buffet night in the Giza. Though not banned everywhere, this film was flagged in the UK and lumped in with the nasty crowd due to its unflinching practical effects and unsettling tone. The movie stands out thanks to its authentic Egyptian locations, which give it grandiose, otherworldly look that most zombie films of the era, they really couldn't even touch. The director delivers atmosphere, chaos, and just plenty of low-budget weirdness. It may not be a Fulci, but Dawn of the Mummy remains one of the most memorable undead rampages of its time, equal parts sandstorm and splatterfest. This was also known under its much more exploitation-flavored title, Night Train Murders. This Italian revenge thriller was Leto's answer to The Last House on the Left. And some would argue it's even more disturbing. The story begins innocently enough. Two schoolgirls head home for the holiday by train, and on board they're tormented and brutalized by a pair of thugs and a mysterious, sadistic woman. It's bleak, it's unflinching, and filled with a creeping sense of dread that just culminates in a final that flips the moral table so hard. What sets this one apart is its artistic sensibility. While the content is undeniably brutal, the direction, it's stylish, and the score is haunting, and the cinematography treats the horror like it's unfolding in a twisted art gallery. It's the kind of film that makes you feel complicit just by watching it. This was banned outright in the UK and plenty of other territories, and it was considered too extreme even by the liberal standards of Euro sleaze cinema. Though clearly inspired by American exploitation, it adds layers of psychological torment and class commentary that gives it a lasting impact. It's not for the faint of heart, But if you're a fan of horror that stares into the abyss, this train ride is unforgettable.
That's why they have to be stopped. It is, you're right. You're right. But not like that. Not that way. Please. They'll take you away from me.
If Taxi Driver and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre had an unholy child, it would be Maniac. This is released in 1980, and this sleazy psychological horror follows Frank Zito, played with terrifying intensity by Joe Spinell, as he prowls the streets of New York, murdering women and scalping them to decorate his mannequin collection. Equal parts slasher and character study, Maniac is as disturbing for what it shows as also for what it suggests. This was directed with a grimy grindhouse energy that turns early 80s New York City into a decaying just hellscape. It's not just gore, though Tom Savini's infamous shotgun head explosion, it certainly made censors pretty queasy. It's the film's unrelenting focus on the killer's fractured psyche that makes it so upsetting. You're actually like trapped in Frank's mind, and it's a place that's just soaked in sweat, blood, and some desperate loneliness. The BBFC banned Maniac outright, and even the US release was trimmed to secure a rating. Critics called it misogynist trash, but horror fans defended it for its raw power and bleak realism. Over the years, it's gained cult classic status and even got a stylish, nerve-shredding remake in 2012. But the original remains one of the most powerful and horrifying examples of what made the video Nasties truly nasty. I know you've seen zombies eat brains. You've seen them shuffle, sprint, probably even explode. But only Lucio Fulci made one fight a shark. Zombie, or Zombie 2, if you're keeping track of its unofficial Dawn of the Dead tie-in, is one of the crown jewels of Italian splatter cinema. A film that embraced the gore like it was going out of style, and then just drenched every frame in decay and dread. The story, a woman travels to a Caribbean island to find her missing father, only to discover a voodoo-fueled undead outbreak. The pacing is slow and moody, building tension with scenes of rot, maggots, and some eerie jungle rituals. When the zombie apocalypse finally breaks loose, it's a full-throttle, intestine-chomping nightmare. There's eyes that are getting gouged, limbs getting gnawed, and yeah, there's the legendary underwater battle between a zombie and a shark. Fulci's film, it was banned in multiple countries, including the UK, where it made the DPP Section 1 list. The practical effects are just so vivid and gruesome that they actually still hold up today. Critics trashed it at release, but horror fans elevated it to like legend status. It's dirty, dangerous, and hypnotically just gross. The kind of movie that makes you want to take a shower afterwards. Or a quick dip in the ocean. Just be careful who you're swimming with.
Do you want me, Freddie?
Right here?
Hey, there's someone behind you.
Smile, Freddie.
So here we have a rare blend of atmospheric dread and some grisly shocks. Dead and Buried is the kind of horror film that gets under your skin and it stays there. This is set in a fog-shrouded coastal town called Potter's Bluff. The film begins with a shocking scene. A photographer is welcomed by the locals, only to be suddenly attacked and burned alive, while the killers snap photos with tearful smiles. From there, things only get stranger. The town coroner, played with eerie calm by Jack Albertson in one of his final roles, he just seems to know more than he's letting on. And the sheriff's investigation leads to a series of bizarre revelations involving necromancy, some secret rituals, and the town's disturbing secret. It's dead just won't stay dead. Though it's a slow burn, the payoff is chilling and unforgettable. Stan Winston's makeup effects are just top-notch, especially one jaw-dropping, needle-in-the-eye sequence that helped land the film on the video nasty list. Critics at the time were just divided, some praising its craftsmanship, others calling it exploitive, but it has since been reevaluated as a minor masterpiece of psychological horror. It's not just another zombie flick. It's a careful crafted descent into small-town horror with a Twilight Zone twist and gore that still packs a punch.
Hãy giúp đỡ con tôi bệnh. Her son is sick. She wants us to have a look at him.
Keep your eyes open and stop that damn clicking. Ma'am, don't trust anybody.
You know, just when you thought war films couldn't be nastier than horror flicks, along comes The Last Hunter. This was directed by Italian genre master Antonio Margheriti. This 1980 Vietnam set action horror hybrid takes all the grim nihilism of Apocalypse Now and mixes it with unrelenting brutality of grindhouse cinema. David Warbeck stars as an American soldier sent on a suicide mission deep into enemy territory, where he uncovers a hidden base, and some mind games, and a little chemical warfare that turns people into twitching meat puppets. While technically a war movie, it really plays like a horror film with machine guns, saturated in blood, soaked in sweat, and lit by the orange glow of just constant explosions. Though not as overtly gory as other nasties, it's got this relentless tone and bleak worldview and just a nihilistic violence that landed it on several censorship radars. The UK flagged it for its depictions of torture and execution-style killings. It wasn't banned outright, but it did have trouble getting certified and was passed around in the tape trading underground for years. The Last Hunter, it's a mean movie, and it's proud of it. It's not interested in heroism or happy endings. What it offers instead is a bullet-riddled trip into madness, filtered through cheap film stock and an anti-war message screaming beneath the explosions. Whether banned for blood, burned for sleaze, or buried by time, these flicks earn their outlaw stripes. Remember, censorship can silence a reel, but it can't kill cult status. These movies survive the moral panic, and now they haunt late-night marathons and bootleg collections everywhere. But before you go, I want you to dig into our playlist on gore pioneers and underground grindhouse legends. But just don't blame me if your VCR starts bleeding. Keep it weird, folks.